Hey guys, for the United States' 250th birthday, I'm going to be drawing the country from memory, and along the way, I'm going to say one thing I like about every state, to promote peace and unity. I'm going to start with Maryland, just because I feel like it's at a really good crossroads. There we go. What I really like about Maryland is Old Bay seasoning. I guess I'm instinctively drawing Delaware now. Let me wrap up Maryland first. Delaware it's a little bit more one has a little bit more of a one note shape than that, I'm pretty sure. So what do I like about Delaware? How fun it is to joke about Delaware because it's Delaware. Alright, now let's get Pennsylvania. Um, so Pennsylvania is pretty much a square with a couple of additional features. It's like we go up here and we get yeah, we get the Erie Triangle. So that's basically Pennsylvania. Like nobody was on the Quakers level of, accepting other people. That's great of Pennsylvania. Actually no, I'll skip New York. Let me do New Jersey first. Alright. Something like this, and then it's got Cape May. So New Jersey. Um Yeah, I mean it's New Jersey. Cape May is pretty nice. Before I move on to these other northeastern states, I'm gonna kind of block these out a little bit. There we go. Okay. And also, Connecticut has this weird like little bite taken out of it by Massachusetts. One of the best things Rhode Island has ever done for our country is giving us Peter Griffin. A fun fact that I learned about Vermont. They have this law that prohibits like billboards on the side of a highway, and it's to like preserve the beauty of the state. I think that's great. I wish more states would follow in their footsteps, although sometimes you can't say no to advertiser money. So, and now to round out the Northeast, we have Maine. So Maine has a little bit of a kind of top of a cowboy hat shape. I'm not 100% sure how to do it, but I think this is more or less it. Maine is like, it's got one of the best, one of the best climates, one of the best, it's beautiful. It has all those little lakes, all those little islands and cliffs, and I mean, I could go on and on. Also, I read a book once where the protagonist was from Maine, so they were important enough to get their own protagonist. Alright, so let's do West Virginia. Now, I'm drawing this way too small. It's supposed to be bigger than Maryland. I think I might have drawn Pennsylvania a little bit short, but oh well. Do the panhandle as well, I suppose. It's got a little bit of that. The problem is for me is when I get to the the Ohio River and the Mississippi River, because it's got all these like little scraggles and winds and bumps that are kind of really hard to try and replicate. So often the best I can do is kind of draw a squiggly line and hope it resembles the real thing enough. West Virginia though, great song. Wait, don't mess this up. Virginia, I'm not gonna be able to do this, am I? Hold on, I'll do Ohio first, because Ohio, I think I know how to do Ohio. I think it's a little bit angled, actually. We got Lake Erie. I mean, Kentucky Derby is like, what, they've done it every year, like without skipping it, like once since like the 1800s. I think that's really cool. I don't really have much to say apart from the fact that Garfield is from Indiana. Michigan, apparently Detroit is doing better now, which is honestly fantastic to hear. Probably one of the most iconic, in my opinion, because of the two peninsulas. The Upper Peninsula, it's marvelous. That's all I'll say. The Yoopers fill in some of these gaps when it comes to the UP. And then we'll draw in Isle Royale too. I recently discovered that my family almost lived in Wisconsin. The Madison area, you got the center of it in between these two lakes. A really unique, really nice kind of layout. I'll do Missouri just so that we're kind of filling in the in-between space. That's Missouri right there. No, nobody's gonna say otherwise. Just do a bunch of state intersections, kind of all in one. Kansas. Now's a convenient time to do Colorado because it kind of meshes with all of these borders. Colorado, I mean, it's Colorado. It really speaks for itself. Okay, I'm realizing the Dakotas are going to be pretty wide. It's just Minnesota a little bit. Alright, so most people know nothing about North and South Dakota other than that both of them are, their state nicknames are literally like a tourist attraction. North Dakota's the Peace Garden State because there's a park right here that's like splitting the US and Canada, and it's called like the International Peace Garden or something. That's pretty neat. I always love a little bit of international cooperation and mutual friendship. I think Nebraska really stands out in terms of how it kind of does its state politics, and I think that's really neat. The only state to have only one chamber in its state legislature. I remember one time I was in like a T-Mobile store and there was a map of like the coverage across the US. And speaking of which, let's divert to the South a little bit. I think the South needs a lot of attention because I'm just going west and I don't want to, leave all these states for last. There's a huge kind of void in Nebraska for like the 5G coverage or whatever, and then I asked one of the guys working there, like, hey, what's up in Nebraska, like what's up with coverage there? And that's how I found out that some people don't know like where on the map Nebraska is. Can't do North Carolina without the Outer Banks, something like that. South Carolina looks a lot like a heart, which I think is really nice. So we got Georgia. I have to revise the border a little bit because of Florida, which is coming next. You can see that doesn't feel right. There we go. That feels like Florida to me. My first grade teacher was from Alabama. I just realized that Louisiana might look very rough, the spacing here. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can move some of this just up a little bit. Missouri is a little bit short. Yeah, no, Missouri goes down to Tennessee. The western border of Louisiana is a little bit fancy because of Texas, whatever's going on there. I can do that a little better. New Orleans kind of thing. I heard a story once about Texas where like there's this guy who went around stealing debt records, burning them or getting rid of them some other way. That guy pretty much eliminated a ton of people's debt. How did we get here? Because Texas is looking pretty wonky. We're just gonna pretend like what I did here makes sense. Sure, New Mexico has Breaking Bad, but it also has Serenity. If any of you guys read that series when you were in elementary or middle school. I'm always surprised by how many people like are moving to Phoenix and Tucson and Arizona in general, given how hot it is. But I mean, if it works, it works. Just a lot of the way they're building new houses, from what I've seen, is a bit concerning. Like they're experimenting with all kinds of things that shouldn't be used for building houses, like foam as like a literal building material, and then the 3D printing the exterior walls kind of becoming a disaster for structural integrity because of all the cracking. Alright, Wyoming. I actually finally met somebody from Wyoming last year, I think. I didn't really get to know them too much. It was just somebody who was walking by, and I think they were finishing up a conversation with somebody about, going back to Wyoming. I was like, oh, so you're from Wyoming? And she said, yeah. I finally, crossed that off my bucket list, like finally finding somebody from Wyoming. Montana will never not look like a face to me. The chin here, the nose kind of there, and then the forehead like that. I'll do Nevada first so I can do Oregon more easily. Alright, since California is an easy kind of iconic shape, I think I'll do that next. So it's flat at the bottom, then got a little bit of this, and I think you get up here, we kind of got the bay. Oh, I just realized this is Arizona is a little bit weird looking. I can fix that pretty easily though. Yeah, it should line up with New Mexico like that. Oregon's kind of like, we got this upper bit, kind of does whatever after that with the Columbia River. Last of all, in the lower 48, we have Washington, so it's got a little bit of that. Got this, and do Alaska and Hawaii. Can't forget about them. Ocean Islands. Big islands like that. Got the and then got that. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Happy 250th birthday to the United States of America. And yeah, I hope you're having a good one. Stay informed, stay safe, and goodbye. Oh wait, hold up. I forgot to paint it blue. So let's just do that real quick. There we go. Alright. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.